Ladies and gentlemen, it's live. Officially, Taco Tuesday with Gunny is up and going. I gotta admit, I guess I don't have tacos to present today, which I know based off of the live stream, it's supposed to be Taco Tuesdays with Gunny, and yeah, there's just no tacos. Let me tell you guys a story, man. So, uh, wind up having an opportunity to, of course, experience the New York Jets game out in MetLife. It was great. It was great. Got to meet some incredible people. Got to meet the Buffalo Jet fan. Got to meet freaking Jets Chaos, Green Bean, proud New York Jets fan. I got to go ahead and meet Adam. Everything New York Jets. Man, the Jets Lounge and crew to include the Sack and Chase. Sack was pretty awesome. Man, I know I'm missing somebody, but I got to meet a lot of individuals. You can see a lot of the pictures, of course, on my Twitter. If I did miss you, my bad. I apologize. I think right now it's just that it's just so much information that I'm trying to get out there at a very quick time. It was an exciting weekend, right? So the New York Jets obviously did not did not play well. Did not play well. It is frustrating because the team right now on paper is just so much better than what we've seen in times past, and to not have to not see the results on paper is, I think, it's frustrating to me, frustrating to you as a Jets fan. And what does it mean? Like, what does it mean? Like, so I've been going back and I've been watching some of the tape. So, of course, while I was at the game, again, man, such an electric time. I'm telling you, I have a video coming out that's going to go ahead and document the entire process from when I landed on Friday all the way to, through Sunday. And then, of course, on Monday when I was flying out of New York. And one thing I'll tell you is that the New York Jets have the most dedicated fan bases on the planet. Like, you've got to. I mean, the weather was not kind. It was raining. A lot of individuals were sitting outside. Even us with the Jets Lounge, we had the opportunity to go ahead and watch inside the lounge. We still had all the seats outside filled. You saw guys out there like Jets Media. You saw Matt O'Leary. You saw the Buffalo Jet fan. You saw proud New York Jets fan. You saw, Jets Chaos. Jets Chaos, Green Bean, freaking Adam was out there as well. Like, so many individuals sat outside, Vice being inside the Jets Lounge in order to watch this game, and it just shows you just how much like we love this team. The national anthem was awesome. Like the ability to go ahead and sing along with the officer that was, of course, designated to go ahead and be the singer. It was great. It's a very emotional thing for someone like me, having served in the military. Also, motivation was pushed from that event, It's just, it was an incredible experience. I feel like the entire stadium was electric. I feel like everybody showed up to go ahead and do their part in terms of the fan base. Now, I got to go ahead and give respect when respect is earned, right? The Baltimore Ravens, they came out. They came out pretty intense. Like they showed up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They definitely showed up. But I think what it ultimately boiled down to is they wanted it more. They wanted it more, man. Like we were at home. we showed up, in droves. There was nothing but an electric fanfare about the entire concept and the entire process. And even still, what wound up happening was the New York Jets didn't show up. They didn't show up, right? So I think for me, the most frustrating thing was the fact that there was mistakes that obviously did this whole thing in. And of course, you've seen it. By now, as a Jets fan, you've seen it. You've probably watched it again on replay. And you're realizing that, okay, wow, that was not the quality of product we expected to see on the field. I don't think any of us here can honestly sit and say that, I expected it to look like that. I I just have a hard time believing that. So, and it boils down to this: at the end of the day, the the New York Jets beat themselves. They truly beat themselves. I can say that confidently now, looking back and seeing some of this tape, and you see individuals like Laken Tomlinson who had a horrible day, an absolutely horrid day. In fact, he was a liability on that offensive line. This is somebody we brought in that's a Pro Bowler that showed the ability to excel in this scheme. He understands this scheme. He not only has the physical and mental motivation to do this, he has an emotional aspect to it in terms of he goes out every single day, you know what I'm saying, and plays for, as we all know, his baby, right? Like, and shout out to him, man. Like, that takes a lot of guts every single day to wake up knowing you're putting your best foot forward to make those moves. But like, he struggled in week one. I think that tells us a lot that we need to know because like this isn't like him. This isn't the kind of Laken Tomlinson we're going to be seeing throughout the entire season. So that should give us motivation at the very least to, I guess what it means is to go ahead and see the positives, right? There's got to be positives there. Now let's talk about the other concerns, right? Like the offensive line, it seems like predominantly in the interior offensive line allowed a lot of pressure on Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is a statue. He's an absolute statue. And as such, like he was a liability for us as well, especially when he can't bounce to the outside and whatnot to go ahead and extend plays. So a good portion of the struggles that we saw came from the likes of, well, I guess the interior offensive line and Joe Flacco. Now, there were some drops, there were some fumbles, there were some things that I didn't expect from the likes of Brees Hall and, of course, Tyler Conklin. You know, those guys, again, Brees Hall didn't have a fumbling issue in college. You know what I'm saying? He caught everything thrown his way in college. We saw him miss a pass that was thrown his way. We also saw him fumble. Those stall drives and caused a lot of, I guess you can say, havoc in terms of the progression of the offense. It was a sloppy game. It was a very sloppy game, and I think ultimately what it boils down to is were they not prepared? I mean, Joe Flacco stated that he felt the energy wasn't right, and when I heard that, I was personally I was a little bit baffled and annoyed about the whole thing because how did you not feel the energy was right? I mean, it was opening day. 9/11, which in itself carries a level of emotional and powerful aspects to it. It was a filled stadium. You know, Coach Saleh asked for us to be there. Jets fans from all over the country showed up. I myself got out there from Houston, Texas. A lot of individuals literally made that flight in to go ahead and show love and support for our team. Okay, and it just didn't result in any kind of, I guess, energy based off of what Joe, of course, stated. And I guess lastly, you're a professional athlete. You're a professional athlete. Like you're paid to go ahead and do this job, and it's ultimately what it boils down to. It's you get paid to play a football game. I mean, granted, only few can do it, right? Only a select few can elevate to that level to do it professionally, and to potentially get paid to do it. But it's still football. And you were at home. Like there's just so many things about that statement that he made that upset me. It upset me because I find it to be more along the lines of excuses being made than anything else. So our quarterback just didn't have enough energy for this game. Our interior offensive line struggled. We saw uncharacteristic fumbles by Tyler Conklin and, of course, Brees Hall. The interception Joe Flacco threw. Now, a lot of us are going to sit here and I remember watching it live, and I did not see Lawrence Cager go down. I didn't see it. All I saw was Flacco throw an interception right to the safety, and it infuriated me while I was at the game. That, of course, led to points because they had such great field position. Now, settling down and watching the tape after the fact, you're able to see that, okay, got it. It's one of those things where he Lawrence Gager fell right in his route, and Joe Flacco threw the ball. It's a timing route, and Joe Flacco or Lawrence Gager should have been there, and he wind up tossing the ball, and it is what it is. It's just I just don't understand what the game plan was coming in here. Uh, the defense balled out. If you watch that game, you saw the defense play football and contain Lamar Jackson and contain Mark Andrews in ways that I don't think has ever been done before. I mean, I got to do some research, more research on it, but I don't believe containing Lamar Jackson to, I think it was like, what, 16, 17 rushing yards, 210 or something like that passing yards. And Mark Andrews, he was irrelevant during the game, is something that's been done before with both of those guys on the field healthy. The New York Jets defense did that. We should have won that game. Man, we should have won that game. And I think it's frustrating because we didn't win it. We didn't win it. And if you were there, if you were watching on TV, whatever the case might be, it just didn't resonate. It wasn't something that individuals or didn't matter. I guess at the end of the day, it just didn't matter, and that's infuriating because the defense played so well. Special teams, oh my gosh, the special teams was infuriating. You know, we're talking about missed field goal, a missed extra point, and how did we pick Greg Zuerlein to be the kicker? Because for me, Eddie Pinheiro, which showed to be more accurate, you know what I'm saying, with his time with us, picked up really quick once we dropped him. Greg Zuerlein, man, he's had these inconsistencies in times past. Yeah, maybe he won out in camp. That's the word on the street. But I just find it so hard to believe that was the decision they chose to go with. I don't know. It's infuriating. It's frustrating. I'm at a loss for words in all actuality when it comes to it. The Jets played well enough on defense to go ahead and win that game. Offense struggled mightily. Offensive line specifically, Joe Flacco specifically. Freaking special teams, were they even present? Like, we didn't see that. Even Braden Mann, some of his punts were just, what are you thinking? Like, what are you doing, kid? And I felt like I left that game with more questions than answers, right? And I think a lot of us can agree that we felt this way. So for me, it's this, right? I look at it this way. What we wind up witnessing was, I don't want to say a travesty. I don't want to say that it's I don't want to say that it means the Jets haven't figured it out either. I'm not that guy. It's just not in me. I believe so much in this team. I believe so much in Coach Saleh as a leader of men. I believe so much in this team potentially winning 9 games. I said that in the beginning of the season. I still believe we can win 9 games. I can also tell you that had Zach Wilson been in the game, I don't think we see the performance that we saw. I think Joe Flacco being a statue did not help his offensive line. If Zach was in the game, he would have been able to extend some of those plays, and those plays could have scored points. Let's talk about the positives. I don't want this to be one of those things where I just focus on the negative of the entire game, because there were some positives to be excited about. First positive, Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson are unguardable. They are unguardable. Now, I know that the majority of you that were watching, the game on TV probably did not see the overview of the play being called out, because they're focusing on where the ball is going and, of course, the quarterback getting sacked, which doesn't, of course, help the situation. But what I can say is that Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore got open at will. Like, literally, at one point, a lot of us were sitting there watching the game, and it was more along the lines of, all right, well, what are we doing right? We're looking for positives. And the only way to do that was to go ahead and kind of see what these young guys were doing. And Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson got open on average within 2.5 to 3.5 seconds of calling hike. It didn't matter because by the time Joe Flacco could look up, he was trying to figure out how to move around in the pocket and, holding on to the ball. And there was no timing or I don't know, there was no timing when it came to the routes for him to get the ball out. It was just so ugly. But you can tell Joe Flacco was out of his element. And as the interior of the offensive line struggled, I don't think anybody fathomed that would be where the Jets would struggle. I thought maybe on the offensive tackle ends with Max Mitchell, who also played very well, that's where pressure would be coming from. And, George Fant going to the left side didn't really do a lot to make us feel like, woo, he's got this thing figured out. But nonetheless, you still figured, okay, he's a little bit injured. He hasn't really had a lot of reps at the left tackle position. It's very possible that he's going to go ahead and allow some pressure. I felt, and I think the majority of us felt, the center of our offensive line, Laken Tomlinson, McGovern, and of course freaking Elijah Vera-Tucker, wouldn't be an issue because, one, you put a left guard Pro Bowler in there that's familiar with the scheme. The other two understand the scheme, and they played on this roster last year and showed promising things. So it was mind-boggling to me to actually see those guys struggling. It was a lot of WTF, what's going on, because it just didn't make sense. But with that said, Joe Flacco's pocket presence is almost non-existent. His ability to navigate the pocket, non-existent. But Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore can get open. They are as advertised. Elijah Moore looked more comfortable and more crisp in his routes. He knew how to create separation to give a window to the quarterback. And yeah, we didn't see enough of Garrett Wilson on the field because I don't know why, but apparently he wasn't in the game plan as we went with 2 tight end sets, so they left him on the bench. I think he had a criminal amount of reps during this game. When he was in the game, he appeared night and day. He belonged on the field. It wasn't even close. So a lot of questions left as to what the game plan was for offense. Now, when it comes to our running back room, my God, Michael Carter, he doesn't care who Breece Hall is. I know a lot of us believe that Breece Hall was going to come in here and take the number 1 overall spot and that he was running back 1. He didn't really show us much in terms of, again, let me reiterate, it's only week 1. It's only week 1. This is a conversation that I'm just having with you guys, and I'm sure you'll have questions about it or comments about it. It's week 1. This doesn't dictate what this team is going to be. We have no idea still. But for me, it's important for us to go ahead and at least acknowledge or document the fact that Breece Hall was brought in here, high second-round pick, to potentially be running back 1. He has the size, the speed, the background. He came from a pretty good program. He can catch, he can block, he can run, right? He has elite traits that is going to allow him to excel at this level. Now, Michael Carter ain't no chump. And he remembers that last year, he was the one leading the way for our running back room. And it's like he came in here refusing to allow, what he brings to the table to be forgotten. And I, for one, admire and appreciate the heck out of that. You saw him ball out yesterday to the tune of 10 carries for 60 yards, added another 40 yards in receptions. I think he had 7 receptions on the 40 yards. He got us 100 yards yesterday, from scrimmage without what seemed like breaking a sweat. Michael Carter is the real deal. Corey Davis, he did have a drop, but again, it was a bad thrown ball. Now I get it. He gets paid to catch the ball. It did hit him in his hands. It was kind of like a weird back shoulder situation. Not sure what Joe Flacco was going for. Maybe he was trying to pull him away from contact, etc. I don't know what he was thinking, but the throw was behind him and it hit his shoulder. Even though it hit Corey Davis's hands, let's be honest, that's a difficult catch for any wide receiver 9 out of 10 times. Unless it's Garrett Wilson, because we know he does some freaky stuff when it comes to extending his catch radius. But Corey Davis, after that, had a pretty good game. Now, if we go to the defensive side of the ball, my God. Okay, our boy Jermaine Johnson, JJ, got his first sack. Now, I know it's being credited as being half a sack, but in all actuality, if you've had the chance to watch the game again, it was a Jermaine Johnson sack. Like, he got to the quarterback, and then of course Jacob Martin cleaned it up. I would have given him the full sack, but he got half a sack, which is kind of funny to me or interesting to me because he wound up getting his first sack vice other individuals who played yesterday that were also higher edge rushers that were picked up did not. Right, so he is the first rookie edge rusher on the board with a sack, and that's saying a lot. The defensive line created pressure, but not as much as you would think. I really thought the defensive line would be in the backfield all day. And that wasn't necessarily the case. Again, you got to give credit to Lamar because he is able to go ahead and navigate back there and, of course, create some space and create time for plays to develop. But overall, I expected more like quarterback hits, more quarterback hurries, and we just didn't see that yesterday. Quinnen Williams is as advertised. I mean, that guy created havoc the entire game. Nobody on that offensive line could hold him. He was the guy showing consistent pressure to get into the backfield. We're talking about a defensive front that held the rushing attack of the Baltimore Ravens to under 3 yards per carry. Now, of course, they didn't have J.K. Dobbins. Of course, they didn't have Gus Edwards. We're talking about holding, the likes of Davis and Kenyon Drake, to that number. But this is a team that thrives on the power run game. And our guys were able to get into the backfield before those guys could even find a hole or find a route or anything to go ahead and make anything out of it. So they're still freaking NFL caliber running backs. It was just impressive to me that our defensive line was that effective in slowing them down. And anytime you slow down freaking Lamar Jackson and hold him to under 20 yards rushing, you got to celebrate that. The dude has legs. He's got the ability to bounce to the outside, make plays, and make defenders regret, like putting pressure or blitzing, whatever the case might be. And we were able to contain Lamar Jackson to under 20 yards. We saw a lot of great things from our defensive line. Like, this defensive line is going to be a problem, a big problem for a lot of NFL teams because not many teams can move like a Lamar Jackson. So keep that in mind as well. Let's go to the secondary. So, of course, our safety room definitely blew it on a couple of aspects. Like, that's kind of frustrating because you expected more, you expected better from the safety room to not allow the long TD catch, the Bateman for one. That was frustrating. We saw Bryce Hall give up that touchdown to DuVernay, which I'll be the first to admit I have no clue who the freak that kid was because I had done my research on the wide receivers and I wanted to go ahead and focus on the top 3 guys, and he didn't pop up as a top 3 guy. It is what it is. DuVernay had a game. It's an impressive one, and I will give props where props are due. But for everybody who says Bryce Hall's a bum and like he shouldn't have been out there, even on that touchdown pass, first of all, if you go back and you watch the tape, there was nothing more Bryce Hall could have done to be in better position to go ahead and stop that freaking throw. Like, literally nothing more he could have done. Bryce Hall was right on his hip, hands up in the air. DuVernay just made a really good play. I still believe Bryce Hall is an asset on this roster. I know a lot of Jets fans were pissed off, and I will admit that even myself at the time, I was very, very angry. The one you should be really angry about, though, was that wide open Bateman freaking TD because of a blown coverage. Now, whether it was Joyner or Whitehead remains to be seen, but that to me was more of a frustrating aspect than the Bryce Hall touchdown. Excuse me. I've been in the air all day, so it's just good to be back home. Okay, so now when we take into consideration the safeties being a liability, you ask yourself, like, why didn't we see Parks elevated? Joyner, to me, showed us that he is out of his element. Yes, week 1, but we saw Parks do better in the preseason than Joyner has done, last year because he was hurt. and now in game one he was a liability. I don't know what the game plan is here. Like, I really don't know what the thought process is or the concept is when it comes to him. Like, what's the man crush that the staff has with Joyner? But he was a liability for us. He was. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. On the flip side, our boy Sauce and of course newly acquired DJ Reed were very, very impressive as advertised. Between those two, there were two of the top cornerback duos in the league in terms of shutting down wide receivers. Now, again, I stand by what I said before that, Bateman and friends are not really a true test of what these guys are capable of. It was obviously a mismatch based off of our defensive backs in comparison to their wide receivers. But they did exactly what they should be doing if they're that much better and talented, which was contain and hold those guys to nothing when they were guarding them. To be fair, to reiterate, the Duvernay touchdown and whatnot, and touchdowns and play, and the Bateman touchdown were not on our cornerbacks. That was on our safeties. Our cornerbacks in and DJ Reed are 1 and 2, and Sauce Gardner were damn near flawless. Those guys, those guys balled out, and of course DJ Reed got the interception on the back end, which I also wanted to go ahead and make sure I put out there. Like, I didn't know at the time. I don't think any of us knew at the time that like he was doing that because he had just lost his father, and he was trying to go ahead and pretty much, you know what I'm saying, like do something. I don't want to say special, but like do something with or for his dad. To kind of go ahead and honor him. He had just passed away earlier in that game. So, again, condolences to DJ Reed and, of course, his family. At the time, we were emotional Jets fans as well. And I think that a lot of us that reacted, White's not knowing, stated like, what I know I personally stated like, why are you celebrating when you should be giving the ball to the ref and being upset that we're getting blown out? That was my comment. And it was insensitive, and it lacked empathy because I didn't know. That's not an excuse. I apologize on Twitter, and I'll apologize here to DJ Reed because that was not cool. Condolences to him and his family again. The loss of a father is just something that it's got to be devastating, got to be painful. And yeah, I digress. Like, I felt so bad about that. Volume is low, Desmond. All right. I didn't want to go ahead and put the. Hold on, let me see if this works. What about now? Does that come up a little bit louder? If the volume is low, I apologize. I can't. I've got it to where I don't hear it because I'm actually live right now. So I do appreciate it, Desmond, for letting me know that the volume is low. I will either speak up or, if need be, I'll bring the microphone specifically down further so that way it catches the audio better. Just let me know if that sounds better. But what it boils down to is I just want to make sure I apologize to DJ Reed for the celebration. It was very insensitive, and again, you don't know what you don't know, but it shows why you shouldn't react and send tweet, you know what I'm saying, without knowing all the facts and acting on emotion. So that to me was our defensive side. Our defensive, like, I think our defense balled out. Other than the safeties, like there was no time at all that I felt that these guys were not. They didn't keep the Jets in the game. They kept the Jets in the game the entire time. They did. That's a fact. And it's. I think the frustrating part is that it didn't result in a W. It didn't result in a win. It wound up being one of those things where our offense couldn't reciprocate. They just couldn't help the defense out. And, of course, you give enough reps back to the offense, especially in good field position, you're asking our defense to continue to bail us out in situations they can't bail us out of. And that was, again, one of the things that I felt was important for me to kind of, like, dictate and express. And as frustrating as it is, and it has been, the Jets still look, you know what I'm saying, relatively good. And I think that we can't by any means at all just take that for granted, because that defense did something that was a huge question mark. Can they stop the run? It's something that beat us up a lot last year, and we were able to see those guys and visualize those guys, or see those guys going at it and stopping the run. They stopped probably I think the number one ranked rushing team from last year, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go ahead and pull up some stats and verify that, but I think they held the number one rushing team to 3 yards or 2 point something yards per carry average. That's insane. That's insane. So that is promising, and I think that is something we should hold our heads high to, because if they can do that, then the running defense that we were concerned about might not be a major impact, because Quan Alexander, Whitehead, were all pieces that were brought in here right now to assist with slowing down and or stopping the run. So, what did all of this mean? Like, what did it all mean from seeing this team put together? In a nutshell, I think it means that we still don't know. We still don't know, like, if this team is able to put it all together this year, right? The talent is obviously there. I think that we have probably one of the more talented rosters in the NFL. That's not just hyperbole or me just pumping things up to pump things up. I really believe that these guys are that good. We're talking about across the offense and the defense, youth at very, very pertinent positions that are going to grow with this particular coaching staff and this offense to go ahead and offense and defense to excel. We've got Pro Bowlers on this team. I said it the other day. I was talking to somebody on Twitter and literally stated that. He said, hey, I think Sauce Gardner is going to be a Pro Bowler. Okay, cool. I think that we have multiple Pro Bowlers on our roster. It's just a matter of is it going to be more guys on the defensive side, guys on the offensive side? That remains to be seen. It's a slow start for the Jets, and I think we've seen this over and over again, and we can't stand. What the crap? How do I have sex bots in here, and I don't even have that many people viewing? Yeah, ban them, please. Oh, jeez. Okay. I think that we have more questions to have to answer, because we don't know, like, what we saw on Sunday is going to be the norm. Are these guys going to start off slow and then kind of ramp it up as the season progresses? Was what we saw from Laken Tomlinson, in fact, what we should be expecting from him now after we signed him to a contract with the Jets? Has he somehow regressed so ridiculously that now we're not sure if he's going to be able to go ahead and be that Pro Bowl caliber left guard we thought we were bringing in? I don't think so. I don't think so, man. I don't think it works that way. I think that what it boils down to is we're freaking out, if that makes any sense. We're freaking out. And I think it's based off of past experiences, having seen this before, right? We've seen what it looks like whenever the team is not showing us enough that they figured it out. We to see the same result on Sunday as we saw last year when the team had significantly less talent is very concerning. It's darn right scary, if I'm being honest. Like, we could do all of this in the offseason and have one of the best offseasons in the NFL, one of the best offseasons of all time for this freaking franchise. And you're going to tell me that we're going to see the same kind of results that we saw this past Sunday as being the norm for the Jets? Like, that is a travesty. And as a Jets fan, I refuse to stand for it. Like, I know I did a video about a New York Jets fan versus a New York Jets spectator, right? And I think that there's a thin line that can separate them when we're talking about aspects such as the defeat we just embraced on freaking Sunday. I think that on Sunday, when we realized that they weren't going to move, I think by the third quarter, if I'm being honest, I think by the third quarter, when the offense just couldn't figure it out and the errors were piling up, I was like, man, is this really going to be one of those games where we don't score any points? I really thought we weren't going to score a touchdown. I thought the 3 points we got in the first freaking quarter was going to be the only points we scored. I'm sorry, in the second quarter was going to be the only points that we scored, and like somehow, some way, either Mike LaFleur or Joe Flacco just couldn't figure out how to get this offense going. Even though, as I saw from my vantage point, Garrett Wilson getting open, Elijah Moore getting open. I saw somebody post that, like, man, it wasn't all Joe Flacco's fault. I think it was Connor. It wasn't all Flacco's fault because there was nobody getting open. That's a lie. That is a blatant lie because from our Eagles' viewpoint, being above, of course, the field, yes, if you're looking at the tape, it's hard to kind of go ahead and see if they're getting open because they're going to show you Joe Flacco or they're going to show you like the sacks and whatnot. But for you to be able to look up and see, just as Joe Flacco's going down, looking up, and you're seeing the likes of Elijah Moore wide open, nobody around him, the likes of Garrett Wilson freaking leaving his freaking defender in the dust. Like, we have guys who can create separation in space. Zach Wilson is going to allow those guys to shine because he has the ability and capability to, in essence, open up the playbook by extending the play. I think Zach Wilson has also much better, and I mean much better ability to view the field, feel the pressure coming to him, and adjust in the pocket. At one point or another, Joe Flacco had that ability. He didn't show us that he had that ability on Sunday. He didn't help the offensive line, if you ask me, in any capacity. It was almost a bloodbath in terms of his performance connected to the offensive line. Like, it was just bad across the board. Zach Wilson can be a huge benefit to this offensive line. The talent is there. These guys aren't scrubs. I have a hard time believing that these guys are going to just suck. Yeah, I know as Jets fans, like we're kind of semi-paranoid a little bit, right? We're still beaten down by the fact that we've consistently seen or think we've seen the same thing over and over again, that we can't even identify with the positivity of the talent level we have on this roster. There's just no way this becomes our story. I refuse to believe it. You should refuse to believe it. That game was, of course, frustrating, and I think that game was something that we're going to have to not jump the gun and assume is the current norm for the Jets. There's just too many good things that we've seen in the offseason. We can see for ourselves that the talent level is obviously different, and it's there. And it's not just us. We hear it consistently from a lot of individuals watching the Jets, right? I mean, even Vegas had us as 6-point underdogs in our house going up against the Baltimore Ravens team that is going to be in the playoffs. That says a lot. Like Vegas thinks we suck. Vegas really thinks we suck. And I'm stealing this right now from the Buffalo Jets fan because he said it beautifully. If Vegas thinks we suck, and in our own house we couldn't find a way to go ahead and get the W, what does that say about us? It was a lack of preparation, a lack of energy, and we just did ourselves in. A lot of the reason we lost that game is not because the Ravens beat us. It's not because the Ravens beat us. If you look at the points left on the table, the fumbles we left on the floor, you know what I'm saying? Like, we beat ourselves in that game, and it sounds so cliche to say it, but in all actuality, the Baltimore Ravens did not beat us on Sunday. They got the W, but the Jets lost the game. Huge difference. Audio was still too low. Man, all right. Okay. So, huge difference, right, in terms of how everything came out. The Jets literally shot themselves in the foot over and over and over again, right? And if that's the case, man, like we've got to figure out how to get to a point where we don't allow these things to be what ends games for us. Because, man, as a fan base, we were so freaking pumped. We have a losing record in the month of September. We had a chance, I believe, a real chance, I believe, to go ahead and fix that. Fix that on Sunday. And we didn't. We couldn't do it. Couldn't do it because we got in our own way. got in our own way. How many times have we seen Michael Carter drop a touchdown pass in the end zone? We haven't seen it, right? Look at the tape. Breece Hall doesn't fumble footballs. It's not in his repertoire, right? We saw that. Tyler Conklin has one of the surest pair of hands in the NFL, and we're talking about somebody who also fumbled the football. It's almost as if they're thinking more than they're just playing. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's frustrating because we have the ability to win games that we're losing. And I don't know about you, but as a fan base, I'm tired of losing. Coach Saleh, did a press conference and he stated that, he was taking receipts. I freaking loved it. I loved it. Based off, and this is in complete contradiction to his previous press conference where it almost sounded like he was making excuse after excuse. It had me really looking at him and wondering like what the thought process was that he felt it made more sense to, I don't know, listen, like we did this good, but we did this bad, but this was good or that was good. Like I want to see my coach be mad. I want to see Coach Saleh be mad, and I didn't get to see him be mad because he's a player's coach. He's a player's coach. Nothing wrong with being a player's coach, but at some point or another, you've got to hold your guys accountable. You've got to be willing to let these guys know, like, losing is not okay. I don't care what the excuses are. I don't care, like it was raining. I don't care that, we were missing our left tackle. I don't care that, our starting quarterback is not out there. Like, you guys are professionals, being paid as professionals. You are talented individuals that are being put on the big stage. We need to see you perform and elevate yourselves on each and every single game day. Losing that game on Sunday, man, and then seeing Baltimore Ravens fans just, my God, run their mouths and laughing. It's almost as if, like, they came to the game just to have the opportunity to, of course, talk smack to Jets fans. Like, they walked in knowing that they were already going to win the game. And that, to me, was just – I got a short temper. Like, I do. I got a short temper. And, the wife was with me. My brother and my sister were with me as well. And I'm glad they were because at some point you got to remind yourself, like, hey, it's just a game, right? It's just a game. No matter how angry or agitated or frustrated or whatever you get, it's just a game. But I am so committed to seeing this team succeed. I am the very definition of a fanatic when it comes to the Jets. I'm the guy that gets really, really agitated and pissed off about the performance on Sunday. And by the end of the day, I go back and watch the tape, and I'm looking for all positives. I'm looking for, okay, that was bad. That was bad. But perhaps there is something that I missed that could potentially show us the good. And I did exactly that. I went back and I started looking at what they did do good, which is why I was able to give you some positive feedback. But had I done this show right after the game, I can assure you it wouldn't have had any positives. It would have been one of those things where I was ranting on about the negatives because those things are highlighted when you're at the game and you're watching it live. I flew in from Houston to New York to see the Jets play. Now, I did again. The experience was still amazing. Again, shout out to everyone I mentioned before. I don't want to go through it again and miss somebody. But the opportunity, to be at the Jets, the hangar made possible by the Jets Lounge, it's just something that I definitely appreciated because it allowed me to meet so many other Jets fans, Jets content creators, guys who pour a lot of time and energy and effort to bring you guys good content, to talk about the Jets and be a platform where we can all kind of vent and just have discussions. And but when you're there and you're seeing the team that I predicted was going to win 28-21 score 3 points in the first half, and the defense is crushing it. They're holding their own against a pretty dynamic and power running offense, but our offense can't figure it out. Like, it's beyond frustrating. Another awesome person I met out there as well, I didn't mention this, Iowa Jets fan, Awesome cat. Like, got to meet him. Again, one thing I can honestly say is that this entire trip did allow me to meet some incredible individuals. Iowa, you're an awesome cat, man. Like, wish your first experience at at MetLife Stadium would have been a W. Hopefully we can get out there again sometime, and next time it's definitely that. This game reminded me of early season games from last year. The defense does its job, and the offense is still figuring it out. I think they'll figure it out much sooner than last year. Yeah, and I agree. I think that seeing the defense operate at such a high level was a very, very promising point, like a very promising piece of the puzzle. Even though as we sit here and we're trying to figure out, is Joe Flacco really that bad? Was it the offensive line that was really that bad? Was Mike LaFleur not putting them in the best position to win in terms of the play calling? As we're trying to figure that part out, one thing we can definitively say is our defense freaking balled out. And I think the learning curve is shortened because a lot of these guys on the offensive side of the ball were here last year. Guys like Michael Carter is going to go ahead and pretty much, elevate his game. Elijah Moore is going to elevate his game. Corey Davis. There's a lot of continuity on this roster that makes this one that we should be excited about, regardless of what we saw on Sunday. And that's a very good point, man. I agree with you 100%. I would love to see it as early as, if I'm being honest, as early as this week against Cleveland. And I don't know about you guys, but I just saw their new freaking logo, some elf in the center of the freaking field. If I would be upset if the Jets walk in there and lose to an elf mascot, you know what I'm saying, on his opening day game or whatever the case might be. Jacoby Brissett isn't somebody that I think we should be scared of. Now, don't get it twisted. I don't want to sit here and pretend like the Cleveland Browns don't have a good roster. They do have a good roster. They've got some studs on the defensive side of the ball. I think our defense can match up pretty well against their offense, especially getting to freaking Jacoby Brissett, right? This is the equivalent of Joe Flacco, a statue back there that we can go ahead and get to. It's weird to be saying this early in the season, but I really believe, like, this week, it is a must-win. On Sunday, we have to win. We can't be going through the process of 3, 4, 5 weeks down the road, everything finally starts clicking, and we start seeing results. This fan base will riot. This fan base will legitimately riot. We've spent too much money this offseason. We've spent premium capital and draft picks to go ahead and build this roster. Freaking Connor Hughes said something the other day on Paul Boyd Green show that I laughed about it because the accuracy of it was just so insane. It's taken us longer to rebuild the Jets than it took, than the rebuilding of Rome, right? Like, that's insane to me. So we got to see results, man. Like, we have got to see results. And again, Iowa Jets fan, great meeting you, bro. Like, it was awesome meeting you this week. But you're right. Defense definitely did their job. And the offense, they just got to figure it out. All right, so Kane says, Woody Johnson should call Sean Payton and ask what or how much does it take the coach the Jets. Saleh is garbage. Okay, so there's the consensus right now of a lot of individuals who feel this way. A lot of fans right now are, and of course, deservingly so, they're angry. But there's also a consensus of individuals who feel that we're not being fair by putting this all on Saleh because, he's not. He just got here last year, right? And he's just now starting to have his hand on the team. So we have to be patient. And I actually got into a little bit of a conversation with another guy on Twitter because I made a very similar statement of we need to start seeing results. We've been waiting over a decade for us to see this team win. And his response was, that, hey, you know what? He's only been here for so long, blah, blah, blah. And, we're being impatient. No. This fan base has been very, very patient. Like, we understand what Joe Douglas inherited when he became our GM. We understand what Coach Saleh got last year when he became our head coach. And I also understand the complexities of his defensive scheme and the offensive scheme. It's going to take time. It is one of those schemes that requires time. We get that. Understood. I'm not there yet, man, to quit on Coach Saleh. And the only reason I say that is because I believe in the power of leaders. And I think one thing everybody can agree on is that Coach Saleh is a leader of men. When you have individuals who can lead the way Coach Saleh can, you're talking about the opportunity and potential for other grown men to run into brick walls in order to see success. And I can speak about this because I myself as a grown man, having followed leaders, what I'm saying, in the military, I would go through any situation because I believed in that individual. And I think that the team believes in Coach Saleh. Now, seeing that he's made the statement of he's keeping receipts and he wants to have a documentation of everyone and anyone who hated on the Jets shows that he's feeling confident, salty, or a little bit kind of like agitated about the thought process of he's frustrated. For the first time, I think, since he became our coach, we saw Coach Saleh frustrated because him saying that shows that it is getting to him. It is bothering him. For the coach to acknowledge that he's keeping receipts of all the haters, all the doubters, etc., means that he has a level of pettiness in him to when this team elevates and starts showing progress, that he's going to go ahead and pretty much put those guys on blast. And I personally love it. I think it's good to see him frustrated too, because then now he's relatable to us as Jets fans. Because for the longest time, I thought, man, he seems unbothered. He would get up on the podium and just give excuse after excuse, or, what I'm saying? Again, he's a player's coach. He's going to have his guys back. But at some point or another, you have got to hold your guys accountable. So to hear him say that as a coach, put himself on the line by saying, hey, I'm keeping receipts. Look, bruh, glad you're feeling cocky and you're feeling confident and you're feeling freaking a little bit petty to put that out there, but you have got to back that up with wins. Yes, Sean Payton, I think, is an incredible coach. I'm not going to lie to you. Kane, if they brought Sean Payton in, I'm not going to be one that sits here and tell you I'm upset about it. The guy was an incredible coach. He did an incredible job with the Saints. I'm just not ready to give up on Coach Saleh yet, man. And not to mention, to get Sean Payton, we would have to give up assets because no matter what, he still is under contract with the New Orleans Saints. So it would require picks, money. I'm not sure, but we would have to give up assets to bring in Sean Payton. It wouldn't just be a phone call, negotiate a contract with him, and he becomes our new head coach. The New Orleans Saints still have rights to him. That would be a freaking, man, I don't know. That would be giving up a lot when I really believe that Coach Saleh has the pulse of this team. It's just a matter of execution that we need to go ahead and start seeing. But thank you for your comment, man. I appreciate it. All right. We've got Iowa Jets fan. My guy, he's back. Saleh didn't kick the ball. Our kickers did very poorly. Yeah, no, that's true too, right? I did see a couple of individuals also comment on not going for it on 4th and 1, right? When Garrett Wilson made something out of nothing. And although I can see where the coach was like, listen, he could have got the first down had he just kind of kept going straight. Vice that last cut he made gave that trotted defender a chance to kind of catch up with him and stop him short. But the kid created something. Did you see the throw? The throw that freaking Joe Flacco made for Garrett Wilson, it floated in the air for God knows how long. And by the time Garrett Wilson brought it in, he had to turn around, identify the nearest defender, and make a move, right? So people are saying he should have went for it, vice punting it. I can understand the sentiment, and the comparison that I'm seeing right now a lot is that Coach McDaniel of the Dolphins went for it on 4th and 7, right, and they got a touchdown from Jalen Waddle, right, on a 50-something yard touchdown. People are bringing that up as well, this is what Coach McDaniel – listen, big difference, right? So Coach McDaniel, yes, I will say this. Guy has balls. That's a lot for a coach to go ahead and trust not only in his player, but trust in his play calling to go for that 4th and 7 right before freaking halftime. Especially going up against a Patriots team that is known for its defense and scares everybody and their mom, right? So yeah, I actually loved the play call, but it was also a play call made right before freaking halftime, right? So for us, we were down 3 on our own 37. I can see why coach was like, yeah, this could be a huge momentum swing, but it could also be a bigger momentum swing if they stop us and they not have the ball on the 37-yard line. I understand the strategic thinking of the coach when it came to that. But like Iowa Jets fans said, man, our kickers did not show up. I mean, my gosh, missed field goals, missed extra points. I mean, the punts that we saw were just hideous. Like, our special teams did not help out this team at all. Like, not even remotely close. And that's not on Coach Salah. Not on Coach Salah. I mean, is Michael Carter dropping a 6 points in the end zone? Can we blame Coach Salah for that? I don't think so. I don't think we could honestly look at ourselves and say, like, that's Coach Salah's fault. I will say the lack of use when it came to our tight ends in this scheme was kind of shocking. But then when you take into consideration that the thought process behind it was our offensive line isn't at 100%, they wanted to go ahead and run 13 personnel, have both tight ends in order to go ahead and assist in slowing down that defensive line. I guess I kind of get it. But to me, I feel like when you keep one of your best weapons off the field in a Garrett Wilson, that could have gone ahead and opened up some things underneath with some quick routes, some hot routes, whatever the case might be. I think I would have called the game differently if I was Coach LaFleur. Excuse me. But that doesn't necessarily mean, like, you know what I'm saying, that I'm right. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that I'm right. It just means that I would have called it differently based off of what I know now in hindsight. You know, hindsight is 20/20. Now that I see what they did and I can watch tape and analyze it, I can question it all day. But what if I did go the route that I wanted to go and that was ineffective? We'd be having a conversation that I was too aggressive and failed the team or whatever the case might be. I do know whatever they choose to do, especially in Cleveland, it needs to freaking matter. Like, I know we have a new kicker, if I'm not mistaken. New kicker came in today. Punter. New punter. Punters came in to get looked at. Braden Mann has not shown us he was worth being drafted a couple years ago. Now, that 2019 draft, man, was atrocious. It was atrocious. But I think I give Joe Douglas credit because the last two seem to be very promising. So I'm in that aspect or realm of, you know what I'm saying, like letting them run with it a little bit and kind of see what happens. But results are results, man. And I think right now the scariest thing is if we don't see results soon, you have a fan base that's so hungry for a win, so frustrated at the losses, and so intelligent about football. We know what bad football looks like because we've seen it for so long that we can call it when we see it. And what we saw on Sunday was bad football. It was undisciplined and self-inflicted wounds type of football that cost us that game. We had a legitimate chance to beat the Baltimore Ravens in our house on 9/11 in front of a crowd of electric fans, give this fan base some kind of like positive energy and identity to open up the season, and we fumbled it, punted it, missed field goaled it away, right? Like, we literally gave the victory to the Baltimore Ravens. We gift wrapped it, gave it to them. The Baltimore Ravens did not beat us. The New York Jets lost the game. So, thanks again, Iowa. But yeah, now you're right. The kickers, oh man, they didn't help the situation at all. So points. I mean, what, 4 points alone left on the field. We have no idea what those 4 points could have done as a momentum shift, right? In terms of defensive process or the offensive game plan. We don't know how missing those 4 points impacts, you know what I'm saying, what the team can now do, because rather than being a one-possession game, it's a two-possession game. It does change the dynamic quite a bit. If he makes those field goals and the extra point, you know, maybe we're able to go ahead and focus on the running game more, right? Kind of opening it up before we can get another touchdown. Or the dynamic shifts dramatically, which we can't have happen. We can't have happen if our offensive guy, our kicker, doesn't show up. Greg Zuerlein, Greg the Leg, whatever you want to call him, man. Like, I was very surprised he won the job over Pinero. I felt like in this situation we'd be looking more so towards accuracy, vice freaking, you know, somebody who can kick it 60, 70 yards. Like, well, who cares? And he hasn't done that in God knows how long. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, this whole thing is frustrating because we all know that game was winnable and we could have won it, and we literally let it slip through our fingers and just gave it to the Ravens. I think that's the most frustrating thing about the entire process. Wasn't the T hands? All right, so we got Frankie Banta joining us, and he asked, why wasn't the tight ends used, and Wilson needs to get the ball much more. He is a playmaker. 1,000%. Like, Frankie, I don't know if you're just joining us, man, but we were talking about this. I have no idea. We spent $30 million. I think no, I'm sorry, $60 million in the tight end room to like little and a freaking draft asset to improve it dramatically. And those guys were significantly underutilized this game. Almost, I would say even criminally so. The lack of use for Garrett Wilson, now it was based off of them trying to get in there in 13 personnel. They wanted to keep the tight ends in to assist with the blocking schemes. But those guys didn't even do any kind of – they could have just chipped somebody and go into routes, right, to assist in being targets for freaking Joe Flacco. We didn't see any of that. They brought C.J. Uzomah as well as Carter Conklin in to go ahead and be, threats in the receiving game. And there were additional linemen in the game. So because of that, it cost them the ability to put a playmaker like Garrett Wilson in, which is frustrating because when Wilson was in, you can see the difference in ability and options. The kid made something out of nothing when the ball touched his hands. And I think, again, I'm with you, man. Like, it's beyond frustrating because it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. Like, you got this guy as a 10th overall pick. I think Buffalo Jets fan actually posted something the other day, and it stated like freaking Drake London, who I think was overrated. I think he's overrated. Had like 70-something%, snap count. Whereas Garrett Wilson, who was a consensus top wide receiver in this draft, had like 27 or 28%. That doesn't make any sense. And then, of course, it makes it even worse because when he got in there, you saw his ability. You saw the playmaking ability. So, yeah, man, again, good question. Yeah, I wish I had an answer for you, man. But again, hindsight is 2020. Maybe the 13 personnel concept would have worked out or should have worked out or whatever the case might be. It didn't. And Garrett Wilson is sitting on the bench with all that playmaking ability, yak ability, going to waste. Excuse me, guys. But, yeah, I mean, it's week one. I think we're going to see a better product on the field on Sunday against the Cleveland Browns. Now, the coaching staff appears to be pissed off. They appear to be mad. Huge benefit because I think that's going to allow them to get more aggressive. I think they feel the anguish and the frustration of this fan base. I know that I know they shouldn't care, but let's be honest. Like, you're the coach of the third richest freaking sports team in the NFL, right? And you're under the bright lights of New York. You have all the ability and opportunity to take this, run with it, become extremely successful, and you are set for life. You win in New York, and you will never need for nothing. For nothing. We are probably we're already the most loyal fan base, but man, you bring us, competitive football. You give us something to be proud of, to go ahead and continue to go ahead and represent this team. There is nothing this fan base would not do for the players that happen to be the ones that bring us victories. Like, we are, man, again, we are the most loyal, passionate, and I want to say most aggressive fan bases there are in all of sports. And you bring us a winning culture, my God, coach. I'm being serious. Like, the benefits you get back are quadruple fold. That's just how this fan base is. So on Sunday, we can't go 0-4 in the month of September. We just can't do it. We can't do it. If we do it, man, like, I don't know. The seat, I guess, starts getting warm. Right? I know Coach Sala is Joe Douglas's guy, but you had teams like freaking the Giants, the Chicago Bears, freaking Miami. There was two other rookie coaches that won yesterday. The Saints have a worse roster than we've got, I think. I really believe like the Saints right now are in rebuild mode or going into rebuild mode. They won. The Seahawks, they won. They're definitely going into rebuild mode. They figured out a way to go ahead and win. The freaking Chicago Bears, they won. Miami Dolphins, they won. Like, it's just we can't we we can't keep expecting or accepting failure like this. It just doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. Other teams can find a way to go ahead and bring everybody together and win. We have got to be able to do the same thing. It has to be. So, yeah, I just realized I've been going on for over an hour. Okay. Listen, I appreciate for you guys that did kind of show up, ask some questions, and share your comments with me. Again, this is Taco Tuesday with Gunny. I'm going to be doing this every Tuesday. Next time, I will have the tacos or a taco to go ahead and either do a taste review on, or I'll give you guys a recipe for a taco that I make myself. Didn't get a chance to do it today. I literally landed back in Houston, Texas about 45 minutes before the stream started. It was a nightmare to get back from New York to get home. American Airlines, man, they blew it on so many levels. But I'm finally home. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss this live stream because I wanted to make sure I stuck to my guns on getting it out to you guys on time. So this has been Taco Tuesday with Gunny, minus the tacos, but they'll be available moving forward, obviously. Otherwise, I would just call this Talking with Gunny on Tuesdays or something. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you're not a subscriber, do me a favor, like and subscribe. I'm looking to bring more individuals on to share their thoughts with me. I think I got everybody that left me a comment today, so I appreciate that. And I hope the sound got better for those who said the volume was low. I guess I'm just going to bring the microphone down into the shot, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to doing my lives, because I want to make sure that you guys get the best experience and we can interact without any kind of interruption or confusion or bad sound, right? So thank you guys again for spending your evening with me. I hope y'all have a wonderful night. I'm your boy, Gunny Gumby. This is your New York Jets Situation Report with the first episode, my first live stream episode, Taco Tuesdays with Gunny. And, yeah, appreciate you guys, man. Have a good night.